Okay, we are going to learn Ein Yaakov, Tractate Pesachim, and the title today is People on a Mitzvah Mission are Safe from Harm. If you're on a Mitzvah mission, you are safe from harm. This is from Tractate Pesachim 8b. Rabbi said, people who are sent to perform a mitzvah will not suffer any harm, neither en route to their destination nor on their return trip. Rabbi Lozer's statement is consistent with the teaching of Rabbi Isi ben Yehuda, who said, since the Torah says no one will be envious of your land, when you go to be seen in God's presence 3 times a year, so Jews left their houses 3 times a year. Who protected their houses from invasion? So it says God will protect you. So we see from here that if you are on a mission, on a mitzvah mission, you are safe from harm. In the Beis Hamikdash, on the 3 pilgrimage festivals, which is described in the book of Exodus 34:24, this teaches that your cow will graze in the meadow, and no wild beast will hurt it. Your chicken will search around in the dung heap, and no weasel will hurt it. Now we can draw logical inference, or logical conclusion from this. If animals that are commonly subject to harm, they are usually a prey, will not be hurt because you went to the mitzvah, then people who ordinarily are not exposed to harm surely will not be hurt when they are on a mission to perform a mitzvah. So the Gemara inquires, this rationale applies with respect to going to do a mitzvah, but how do I know that on his return trip from doing the mitzvah, let's say you traveled somewhere to do a mitzvah, and on the way back, how do I know that you are also protected? Because really you're not doing a mitzvah now. You are coming back from a mitzvah. How do we know that the return trip will be safe? So the Gemara answers, for it says, you may turn around in the morning and return to your tents. Deuteronomy 16:7. This teaches that you will go and find your tent in peace on your return. So even the return will be safe. The Gemara asks, but since he is safe even on his return trip, why mention it at all with regard to going? If you are safe by coming back, how much more so that you're safe when you are going to the trip? For the verse says, no one will be envious of your land when you go. It doesn't say no one will be envious when you come back. And that forms the basis for Rabbi's teaching. For Rabbi taught, whoever owns land must visit Jerusalem on the 3 pilgrimage, Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot, on the 3 pilgrimage festivals. But anyone that does not own land, if you don't own land, need not make the festival pilgrimage. He derives it from the fact that God assures the pilgrims that no one will seize their land when they are in Jerusalem, although they are far away from their land. Thus only those who own land must make the pilgrimage. So the Gemara digresses on the subject of the pilgrimage to Jerusalem. Rabbi Avin ben Abba said in the name of Rabbi Yitzchak, why are there no fruits of Ginosar, an area along the Sea of Galilee? There was no fruits in that area. The question was, why there's no fruit in that area near the Sea of Galilee? In order that people coming on the pilgrimage to Jerusalem on the festival should not say, it would have been worthwhile if we had come to Jerusalem only to taste its Ginosar foods. And that would have meant that the pilgrimage would not be for its own sake. They would travel because the stop on the way, there's a very interesting inn on the way. Back then it was very good foods, and people will say, although we're going to Jerusalem, but we have to make that stop in such and such restaurant, in such and such place. So it takes away from the mitzvah, it takes away from doing it for its own sake. In the same vein, Rabbi Dostai and Rabbi Yanai said, why are there no hot springs like those of Tiberia or Tiberias? Why there's only in the land of Israel, the only place that has hot springs is in Tiberias, natural hot springs. Tiberias, why, for example, why not in Jerusalem? Let's have it also in Jerusalem. So it says, in order that the people coming on pilgrimage to Jerusalem on the festival should not say, it would have been worthwhile for us to come to Jerusalem just to bathe. If there was hot springs in Jerusalem, people would say, it was worthwhile for us to take this trip all the way to Jerusalem to bring our offerings just to bathe in the hot springs of Tiberia. And that would have meant that the pilgrimage would not be doing it for its own sake. So we learned in a Baita, Shimon Haimsani. Others say it was Nehemiah Haimsani, expounded on every S, every time the Torah has S, the mark of the accusative in the Torah to include something else. But when he came to the verse, you should fear S, the Hashem Elokecha, the Lord your God, Deuteronomy 6:13, he stopped. So usually he said the word S would mark the mark of the accusative in the Torah to include something else. When it came to the verse, you should fear the Lord your God, which has the word S in it in this pasuk, he stopped expounding since he found it, Nehemiah or Shimon, they found it impossible to include someone else to be feared like God. So his students asked him, what will be with the S that you interpreted? You're always interpreting the letter or the word S, and this time you're not interpreting it. What would be with it? He replied, just as I was rewarded for expounding them, all the other S in the Torah, Aleph, Saf, so will I be rewarded for stopping in this specific one, Ve'oresa Es Hashem Elokecha, fear Hashem your God, that I'll be rewarded for not expounding on this specific one. So, and taking back all my expositions, I'll be rewarded for stopping to interpret them, and taking back all my expositions, since the S in this verse does not include anyone else. Usually it's an inclusion, but this time it does not include anyone else. None of the other S in the Torah include anyone or anything else either. So in other words, he said, if this one doesn't include anything, so far everything that I expounded with the S does not include anyone anymore. The S in this verse was left unexpounded until Rabbi Akiva came and expounded on this S. Rabbi Akiva came and taught in the verse, you should fear Yoresa Es Hashem Elokecha, you should fear Hashem your God. You should fear as the Lord your God. The word S comes to include Torah scholars who should be revered just like God. People should have awe or reverence to Torah scholars. Bruchim Tiyu, and God willing, we'll continue tomorrow.